Hello there. Happy Sunday afternoon. I know I was planning on coming tonight, but things all worked out and this afternoon is free, and I thought, you know what? I'm just going to pop on now. It'll get recorded. So if this isn't a good time for you, no worries. And what are we talking about? I've been coming in with lots of different things lately, but this is all about the ScanNCut machines and how do you figure out which one you want? I know we love them, but there's so much variety and there's so many numbers, and they don't have cute little names. They just have weird numbers and letters, and it makes it kind of complicated. I know some of you have been joining my Facebook group, and that's really the best way to get information. I'm just logging in so I can show it to you. Hello, Kimberly. Hope you're feeling better, dear. Goodness. So let me just show you. There it is. So if you're not there yet, you want to be. You want to join us at, it's called Simple ScanNCut, and you should be able to find it through a simple search because it's open. And I have lots of information in there for you, all about these crazy machines. If you don't know me, I have been an online Cricut teacher for over 10 years. I love the Cricut machine. Oh, Adrienne, awesome. I'm glad you were able to catch us. I love the Cricuts. I truly do. I was a Baby Bug fan, and then I went to the Imagine, the Create, and the Imagine, and the Expression, and the E2, and then the Explore, 1-2 Air. Okay, all of them. All the way up to the Maker. Love them all. I'm still a huge fan. It's a really comfortable machine for me because I've been using it for so long. I do really like it. But it really, once Stampin' Up! Came into my life, it doesn't seem to kind of fit with what I need. It just doesn't. There are ways to kind of get around it, and I posted in the Facebook group today about some ways that you can get around it, but it's really not easy. It's really tricky. Hold on just a sec. I need to shut the door. And I want you to be able to figure out what you need and why do you need it. If you are a stamping person of any variety and you don't like to fussy cut, the ScanNCut can end that. Now you're thinking, well, that's kind of an expensive pair of scissors. And it is. Oh, I don't work for ScanNCut. I don't benefit by anything that they do or don't do. So I can be super honest with you. But it does more than just cut out your stamp. It does do that, and it does that super easy. And you know what? You can do that with any of the machines. So let's look for a minute at what the machines are, and then that'll give you an idea. I know this is tiny, but this is in the Facebook group. So if you go in that Facebook group and then look at files, you should be able to see it, and you can even download it and print it if you want. The two machines that I own are not on this picture, actually. One of them is, the one in the middle. And it's the CM350 is the ScanNCut 2 that you hear most people talk about. The reason it's the most popular is it really does a lot of things, and it's the least expensive. Right now, some people have been able to find some super deals under $200. I paid $229 for mine on Amazon, but it changes. Sometimes it's $240 for the CM350, and that's this machine right here in the front. I need to zoom out a little. I wish I could get taller. Oh, I bet I can. Hold on. There. So the two machines are sitting here so that you can see both of them. The blue pretty one is the DX 125. Stupid names, right? All stupid names. But they both can do the same things. They might need a little bit of work. You might need to do things a little bit differently, but they can both do the same thing. So your decision, number one decision is price. Can you afford it? It's nice to say that you want the newest, latest, and greatest, but if you can't afford that one, then this machine will do. There's also another one, which I've not seen, but some of my students have used it or are using it, and it's the DC200. So what are the differences? Well, this chart tells you, but basically the DC200, or there's even a 100, I think, it doesn't have the screen that this one has. So you can only use the online software with the DC200. Okay? It's not very popular. It's not out very much because this was the latest one before this one. So this is probably the most popular that you will see most often in videos, in YouTube trainings, things like that. You see this one the most often. Something else that I discovered, and the reason that I decided to put my classes together, is a lot of the YouTube videos are from Europe, because these machines are more readily available in Europe than some of the Cricuts. Oftentimes the measurements are different than what we use here in the US. The other thing that I decided was my lane, where am I going to stay? I'm a paper crafter. I'm a paper crafter all day long. I am not going to do vinyl or cork or weird other things. I'm not going to cut anything other than paper. Maybe I'm going to go to Whisper White cardstock, and maybe I'm going to go to solid color, and maybe designer series paper, but that's what I cut. So my instructions, my classes are for paper crafters. You won't hear me talking about vinyl or settings for that with these machines. If you want those, there are lots and lots of other trainings out there. What my classes do is they teach you, one, what did you actually buy and what do you do with it? And how do you understand the directions? It doesn't matter what you're going to cut. It matters, can you talk the same language as this machine? And that's what my goal is, to teach you how to communicate. Not necessarily to make XYZ project with green, blue, and purple. I want you to be able to say, well, I want to make something and I want to use my machine. So let's start with this one, least expensive. It does not come wirelessly connected built in. You have to, that's an add-on. You have to buy that extra. Why do I need to connect it to anything? In all honesty, you don't. You can use the little screen to do virtually everything. If your goal is to eliminate fussy cutting and you want to stamp and scan and cut, this machine can do that, no problem. If you think that you want to then add text and other designs and scan a couple of different stamp sets in together, combine them, and incorporate them together, the software that is free is much more user-friendly than looking on this tiny little screen for if you have eyes older than the age of 20. That counts me. So that's the biggest difference between this machine and this machine. This one scans in at 300, again, this sounds super technical, 300 DPI. It's dots per inch, okay? This one scans in at 600. So what does that mean? It means you get a crisper image when you scan this one. Now, if you're just scanning the outline of something, it's not going to really matter. If you are scanning something detailed like these leaves or this flamingo, it might matter how distinct the image is and how clear it can do it. There, again, lots of tricks that we can do to make it easier. There are ways to keep working at it to get it better. And I can show, and I do show you how to get the best image possible. That's the biggest difference between this one and this one, is the scanning resolution, and two, the blade. The blade on this machine is not automatic. You have to figure out what to set the dial on. There's a really great way to test it. It's not difficult. If you are like me and you are using Stampin' Up! Papers, once you've figured out the setting for your Stampin' Up! Papers, you don't really need to change it a lot. Once you've determined what works for you, there's not a whole lot of testing involved. If you use 88 different kinds of papers and you have an entire drawer full of multiple types of thicknesses of paper, then you might be needing to make some changes. But there really is a built-in test that's really easy. It doesn't waste a lot of paper. You need to get in the habit of doing that if that's something you do. The other machine, so this one, the blade, I have to adjust. This one has an auto blade. The machine does the test at the beginning. So when you say go ahead and cut, it comes over, it sticks one little pinpoint with its blade into your, like how you test a cake. It tests into the paper and says, oh, okay, I need to cut this at blah, 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 whatever it is. It doesn't tell you anything. It just magically does it. And it goes ahead and cut. Perfect every time. There are adjustments that you can make. If you're finding that for some reason your machine is heavy-handed, we can fix that. But you don't have to adjust the blade. That's pretty awesome. Although I have found, because I don't use thousands of different styles of paper and I use Stampin' Up! Virtually, that is the paper that I use. Never mind virtually, it's always. I don't need to worry about my blade because I know what my settings are. If, for example, you use Stampin' Up! And you might have some basil and maybe you have a little bit of Bow Bunny paper somewhere, you would know what the setting is because you can test it. So I wouldn't make that be my reason not to choose this one. Again, price. The reason we're talking about this today is March 5th, and again, I don't have any stock in either of these companies. March 5th, HSN is having a craft day, and this is one of the products that is on special. I have no idea what the special is. It will be FlexPay. This one, when I bought it, was $3.69. This one was $2.39. A big difference in price. I can do the same thing with both machines. Now, I will say this one scans a little bit easier. So if I'm scanning designer series paper, for example, this one can get a better image the first time. This one will do it. I just need to work at it a little bit. What else can I tell you? Oh, here's another. Let me go back to this one. This is the compare. You'll also see, I just want you to know the difference. The SDX 125, that's the machine I have here. That's what's on HSN on Tuesday. There's also an SDX 225. You can only get that at a brother store, an authorized brother dealer, which I don't know where one of those is. Remember, Brother makes sewing machines and embroidery machines and printers. They do all kinds of machines, as opposed to like Cricut or Silhouette is just a die cut machine company. These guys do other things. So one of the things that they do is their embroidery machines use .pse files. Again, another bunch of letters. But this machine can read those. So if you are someone who wants to be able to incorporate your embroidery designs and your cutting machine, you might want to consider upping it to this one. Scroll down through. This machine is designed to cut fabric. It has more pressure. It pushes down, the blade pushes down more. What else can I tell you about the two, why the difference between the two? The 225, I've not seen it. It's a much more powerful machine. I generally in my travels have seen both the CM350 or the ScanNCut 2 and the DX125 or the pretty blue one. Did anybody have any questions about what you're trying to do or what you want or how do you make it do it? Anything I can help you with in your decision? What are you trying to do that you want to make sure that it can do? I would say if you still have a Cricut and you love your Cricut, you're probably going to keep your Cricut and keep using it. If you have a Silhouette and you love it and you use it for everything except it won't scan your stamps, then you're probably not going to change. You're still going to love your Silhouette. This is going to be an add-on. So if that's you, and you have a Cricut Maker, for example, and you use your Cricut Maker for everything, except you want to be able to do your stamps, then I would go with the ScanNCut 2 that I can get at a better price because it's not going to be my everyday cutting machine. It's going to cut the things that I need it to cut. And then I'm still going to go and turn to my Maker or my Silhouette or my Expression or my Explore Air or Explore Air 2. I'm going to turn to those when I want to cut vinyl or cork or any of the other things that you might want to cut. Then you don't necessarily need that. If this is your very first die cut machine, then you might want to think about going to the DX. If you can afford it and money's not an object and you've got a great birthday present coming and you need to spoil yourself, clearly this machine is the newest, latest, and greatest, and it's cool. It really does some great stuff. It cuts super quiet compared to this one. It's definitely more quiet. It's a little slower, I find, to scan because it's looking at more detail. It's cool in that it's got some storage things in it. Let me move this one out of the way. So it's really nice. Everything's right there. It's got a color screen as opposed to a black and white one. The images are clearer in it. Oops, don't go that far. When you open this one, it's got a little place over here for your spatula and your little pointer. It's awesome. It's a great machine. It truly is. Is it $140 more great? I'm not positive. They can both do the same thing. All the Brother machines come with a port to plug in a USB. A USB is that little I'm looking for mine. Is that the little gizmo, like a portable file transport unit. And it moves stuff from your computer. So if you don't have the wireless, they all have this. I have to get over the camera. They all have one of these. No, they don't all match. Mine do, though. They all have a place to plug in the USB port. And then this goes and plugs into your computer. And you can transfer files. This machine can cut SVG files. Again, that sounds like this is like alphabet soup. SVGs are scalable vector graphic files. Basically, they're files that have lines on them that the cut machine can read and say, oh, I need to cut this. So it's not just a drawing. They're turned into lines that the cut machine knows to cut on. So the DX can do that directly. It also, Brother files are called .fcm. The FCM files will cut on all the ScanNCut machines. So the software that's free is the Canvas workspace. And again, once you learn how to use it, it's a really great tool. I love the workspace. That is available both as an online version and you can install it on your computer. So if you are someone, Lana, I don't know if you're here, who has really bad internet, that sometimes is awesome and other times is wonky, especially when you want to craft, then you want something that is not internet dependent. And the Cricut Design Space is. So if that's you, or you're someone who goes to crops a lot, or you go camping and you have electricity, but internet isn't really as good as you want, or you're on the road and you like to craft on the road, like all of those things. I don't know your situation, so you need to think about how is this going to work for me. But the ability to work offline is awesome. I love that. The software is both online and off. You can work either way, interchangeable. Once you log in, if you're doing something in the online version and save it, you can find it. You can send data from, now this is where the wireless comes in. Remember, the DX has wireless built into it. That means I can work in the canvas on my computer and wirelessly send it to my machine. And when I open my machine, I can retrieve the data and it's right there. So the file that I created on my computer is there in my machine ready to cut. Super easy. It will also, if you have added the wireless upgrade to the ScanNCut 2, then you can do the same thing with that one. If you don't have wireless, you have a ScanNCut 2, but you didn't buy the wireless, then you just use your USB. So you create in the canvas, you plug this into your computer, you save your file, either your SVG or your FCM, whichever you want, and then you go plug this into your machine and the data's right there. If you don't think that you want to get that carried away, you're thinking, hey, yeah, I just want to cut out something that doesn't have a die with it, then I would go with the least expensive one. If you're thinking, yeah, that's today, but 3 months from now, I'm going to wish I did the other one, then do the other one. I mean, you have to know yourself. My only negative to either of these machines has nothing to do with the machine. It has to do with the stinking rotten mats. Notice this mat has a big glob in the middle of it. It was brand new, and my designer series paper stuck to the middle of it. The mat, if you are a Cricut or a Silhouette user, you will curse the mats. The mats are an easy fix, though. That's something that Brother knows that they frustrate us, and they are working on them. The problem with the mat is it's thinner, and it's made to scan on as well. You only need one. Sometimes you'll see, when you're looking on Amazon or somewhere, you'll see a scanning mat and a regular mat. You don't need both, particularly for the DX. You don't need both at all, just one. That's another thing to know. When you go shopping for mats, the DX, if you own the DX, you want to make sure that you get the one that has this hole in it. That's for the DX. And it can only load into your, please ignore this mess, I have a new one coming. It can only load into your machine one way. Notice it's got the purple arrow right there. It can only load in that way. This one for the ScanNCut 2, notice it has arrows on the top and the bottom. I can load it in either way. Okay, so that's probably the only issue. I have discovered, and again, you will see online a lot of YouTube, a lot of suggestions, a lot of advice to try things. People really do fight about the mats. I have found Zig glue is the one thing you'll see online all the time. I don't like the way that works. That's just me. Zig glue is a blue glue that you put down, and when you do it's blue, then it dries clear and it's tacky. You want repositionable glue that doesn't dry. That one drives me crazy, but it does work. You just have to kind of figure out, you have to get good with how much you put down. And so when your mat stops being sticky, which it stops being sticky pretty quickly, particularly if you're using paper that's really fibrous. Again, Stampin' Up! Paper doesn't do that as badly as some of the other ones do. Stampin' Up! Paper isn't like that. So you don't have I get a much longer time with mine than a lot of other people have said. But I found this really cool trick, and I've been sharing it in classes, and I'll share it with you today too. Now, this is not Brother approved. There used to be a talk back in the day with Cricut that it would void your warranty. I don't know. I haven't asked. This Krylon, let me get it so you can read it. Krylon Easy Tack is a really great repositionable. Now, before you start spraying this anywhere near your machine, don't. You want to go outside with it. You don't want to spray it near your machine and gummy it all up. And you want to be sure that if I give advice and people mess up their machine, I'm going to be really upset because I don't want you to do that. You have to be certain that you cover the places where the rollers are going to go, and around the top I use blue painter's tape and just mask off everything, leaving just the place I should use the clean mat, just the place where the paper's going to stick. Okay? When I did that with mine, it was like manna from heaven. I was so excited. It feels like a Cricut mat now. It feels like a Cricut blue mat. Again, if you're a Cricut user, the blue mat is for paper, the light blue. The green is for vinyl and other things, and it's more sticky. But the blue mat, when those came out, they were just the best thing ever. Using the easy tack on your mat, once you've protected it so it's not going to get overspray, I have found that that has turned my mat into a very much like Cricut mat, and it still works. The paper sticks. You can just bend the mat a little bit and it pops right up. Really like it. I'm using that on my ScanNCut 2 mat, and I'm really happy with it. What do I have going on this month so that you can see, gee, maybe I want to do this. My classes are taught in my Zoom classroom, which isn't this one. You can chat with each other really easily. It's real time. There's not the lag that there is on Facebook. The classes are recorded and they're downloadable so that you can watch them whenever. So if you're not free when I'm teaching it, no worries, you can come back. The reason I teach live is I love the ability for students to ask questions while we're going. If I do something and it went too quickly and you aren't sure how I did it, you have the ability to right then and there say, wait, what? Could you do that again? I don't get it. And trust me, if you say that, probably 5 other people were thinking the same thing. They just weren't quick enough to type it. So the classes are taught online. They are taught live. To find them, just go to karamiller.com, really easy, and click on Classroom. And when you come in here, click on New Classes. And you will see what's coming up for March. You can also look on my site, scroll down, and you'll see Tuesday night is when ScanNCut classes are. When you click on this, it will tell you what it is. So this month we have some really different ones that I'm trying to allow people to see a few different ideas. On the 5th, we're going to start with the machines and go step by step. The first hour is all about using the ScanNCut 2. How to scan in. If you click on it, it will tell you what's going on. You'll learn the parts of the machine, basic blades, how to do the testing I was telling you about, how to figure out where to get to the different places. They all come with what I call whispers, which are basically my class notes. And then at 8 o'clock, we will go into the ScanNCut DX so that you can figure that out. That's the first one. And then the rest of the month is on a Tuesday night, we're doing the Canvas Workspace. That's the software that I was telling you about that's both online and installable. Then we're going to use this beach, happy beach day, beach something. I should know its name. And we are going to make a sampler. You'll have the instructions and the files to do it with. And then the 19th, we're going to use the Let It Ride stamp set. You're going to be able to scan and cut out around those horses using your machine. And then on the 27th, we'll take a stamp set and fonts that are installed on your computer using the canvas to create welded titles, etc. So that instead of gluing this down, you letter by letter, you will have a piece of all one. And you can use these overlays to go in the front of your card or wall hangings. So that's what's coming up this month for me. I'm also more than able to answer your question, not able, willing. I'm hoping I'm able. I'm willing to answer your questions. Once you're a student of mine, you're always a student of mine. You have access to me through emails and text messages. If you're in the middle of a project and it's just not working, just let me know. I don't always know the answer, I often have to go research it for you or figure it out, but I will. What would I buy if I were going to buy it again? I will tell you my decision when I wrestled with this a few months ago. I bought the ScanNCut 2, and I honestly was very, very happy with it. It did exactly what I wanted. I didn't know that I was missing anything. I thought that machine was just amazing. And then I had a lot of requests to offer classes using the DX, so I invested in that. I will say I do love the DX. It's a pretty cool machine. It's pretty powerful. Uh, Again, it's a question of, is it 300 and some odd dollars powerful? I would say, if you, again, this is me, if I can get it on FlexPay and I can spread it out over time, I think it's probably worth investing in the newer machine. But the ScanNCut 2 really does a lot of cool stuff. I don't see any questions. I could just be missing them. Does anybody have any questions that you need answered that I didn't answer? Please make sure that you go into that Facebook group and join that. I'm looking to see right now if anyone's looking to get in, if you're not already in there. It's Simple ScanNCut. Make sure that you join that one. And you can always post questions for me later when you're trying to make decisions about what works for you. The classes are offered in a bundle. They're also offered individually. So if you just see one, you just want to do the machine one, you just want to get started, you just want to see how to use your machine, you can do just one. You don't have to do them all. If you are a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, this machine can change your class kits. That's the reason that I got it. There's a lot of things that work better with your trimmer. Cutting card bases, just use your trimmer. But if you have to prepare a class kit and you want circles for 10 people and everybody needs 5 circles, you will run that through your Big Shot till you're blue in the face. You will use a punch until your knuckles hurt. You can run it through one sheet and be done with it on the machine. So it depends on your purpose, what you're doing. No, you may not stamp an image and cut it out and give it to your class kit. You can cut out the outline for them to stamp on and give them that class kit, just like you would if you were using a Big Shot and it had a die. I do not generally include stamps in my classes that have coordinating dies and use the Big Shot and use the ScanNCut. I still want my customers to use the dies. There's a lot that a die can do that a machine is not going to do. The way the Big Shot rolls the edges down as it cuts it just doesn't happen when you cut it with a die cut machine. A die cut machine cuts it. There's no pressure that you're going to get with a Big Shot that kind of rolls the edges. You'll feel the difference when you look at a die that's come out of a machine versus a die that's been through the Big Shot. Okay? So if you are a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and you want to use this in your classes and you need a little bit more help on how to figure out how that can happen, just drop me a note. I'll be happy to help, happy to share. Other than that, have a great afternoon. Please ask questions if you have them. I'll follow up with anything that you post here. And I'll see y'all soon. Bye.